Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet, the YouTube channel content creator, actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Hurry up and come on. But wait, for me, Luke? Huh? Oh, it's you two. Oh, great, it's Estelle. Hi there, Joshua. Okay, you little twerp. What's with the "oh, great, it's Estelle" remark? And what's the big hurry? How about telling us where you're headed? You're not thinking about wandering out of town alone, are you? The roads are full of monsters, I hope you know. You're such a pest, Estelle. Don't you know there's no room for girls to be sticking their big fat noses in boys' problems? Quit acting like you're a bracer, you wannabe. Tisk tisk, how wrong you are, Luke. How incredibly wrong. You're more than a fool who thinks there's better tasting milk in Lib than the milk that comes from Purzel Farm. What? No way. You're full of it, Estelle. In fact, as of just a few minutes ago, we qualified to become real bracers. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Real bracers. More like bracers in training, really. Don't think you should be getting on your high horse just yet, Estelle. Now a high pony, on the other hand. Quit being a killjoy. Wow, you two are great. I'm so happy for the both of you. Oh, Pat, you're such a good little boy. Unlike that smart aleck and cynical brat you call a friend. This isn't fair. I was supposed to become a bracer first. I can accept that Joshua became a bracer before me, but getting passed by the likes of Estelle? What's the likes of Estelle supposed to mean? Just so you know, you can't even be a bracer until you're 16 years old. Get it? Only mature people allowed. And that means no little kids who are still going to Sunday school. I don't know how I should put this, Estelle, but Sunday school is dying to have you back. You'd better watch out, Estelle. I'm going to train at my secret base, and before you know it, I'm going to be a bracer too. Come on, Pat, let's go. Alright, I'm coming. See you later, Estelle. Bye, Joshua. I do have to say again, I really do like the art in this game. That boy, Luke, he's always trying to pick a fight with me. I wonder if he just plain hates me or something. Rather, I think it's the exact opposite. What do you mean by that? Don't worry about it. It's just a boy thing. At any rate, what do you think Luke meant by he said secret base? I don't know why, but somehow it makes me a bit curious. I know exactly what you mean. A secret base sounds really intriguing. The pure heart of a young child can be so inspiring at times. That's not really what I meant by curious. Estelle, aren't you forgetting something? No? What? I did actually forget about that. Pick up a copy of the Lib News from the general goods store, right? Alright, yeah, I did. Completely slipped my mind! Where's the general store? Yep, this is the general store. Hi! Renan. Hello there, Estelle and Joshua. What are you in the market for today? A new pair of shoes? Now that you mention it, are there any new ones in stock? You know, like the newest Stregas? Unbelievable. You've actually already forgotten why we came in here to begin with. We're not here to shop. We're supposed to be buying a copy of the Lib. I mean, we can look at what they're... I mean, it doesn't mean we have to buy it. It just means that we know what we want to save up for. Of course. Ha ha. You've always been a big collector of those shoes, haven't you, Estelle? I'm afraid that the news Stregas aren't out yet. I do, however, have some copies of Lib News in, if that's what you're after. Alright, I'll take one copy then. That comes to 100 Mira, please. You purchased issue 1. Remember like the Timber Mechanics from like Final Fantasy VIII? And those magazines you could buy? I know my dad always buys a copy of this magazine, but does it really sell that well? It sure does. Lib News has an excellent reporter and cameraman who have done a great job reporting the latest and most reliable news. They're even supposed to have a running story related to Queen Alicia's birthday celebration. But enough about that. Why don't you tell me how you did today? Did you make it as bracers? Today was your last day of training, wasn't it? Yep, everything went smoothly, too. But how did you know about all that, Mr. Renan? Haha, in a certain sense, both you and Joshua are like celebrities here in Roland. I tend to hear a lot from customers coming through here. I shouldn't have expected anything less from Roland. The grapevine around here is seriously something to be reckoned with. No kidding. The women here especially love to gossip. One more thing before you go. This gift is my way of saying congratulations. It's a free sample item I received with my shipment of goods. But don't hold the free part against me. Recipe book. Right, there is a cooking thing. What's this supposed to be for? There's a ton of... Oh. I thought it came with actual recipes. Granted, I sometimes cook things, like if I cook food, if I cook it for other people, I'll try to cook it according to like what I think they like. But if I cook food myself, I'll do weird things to it to try like, oh, what if I use this ingredient instead? Because at least I know if it turns out terrible, well, I'll eat it still anyway. But if I'm cooking for somebody else, I want them to like it. That being said, I'm not exactly a chef by any stretch of the imagination. It's just an issue of, hey, YouTube video! Let's copy what they did! You know, that sort of thing. But in general, I'm not really too fancy of stuff. A lot of times I'll just eat whatever, or get something from a restaurant. Heck, sometimes nowadays, with the way certain ingredients are, it's almost cheaper to get something from a restaurant than it is to cook it yourself, which is kind of weird. I don't know. Then again, I mean, there's times where I've gone, like, I've made, like, ooh, let's have a grilled cheese sandwich with a couple different types of cheese, and maybe some jalapenos, and some, and basil. Heck, there's one time I used just straight up jalapeno cream cheese. There's other times I used cheddar and mozzarella, added meats to it. And other times there's, like, I've literally just buttered a couple bagels and put a piece of cheese on and ate it raw. So, it just depends on, I guess, how energetic and how motivated I am at that time. I mean, if I'm feeling like, I don't know, a little bit more chipper, I guess, or a little bit more laid back, I might cook something a little bit more intricate that takes a few steps at least, and maybe a few pots and pans. But the same regard, if I'm feeling a bit down, maybe I won't cook much of anything. It'll just be the laziest thing in the world. Or I might just, you know, lay in bed and not want to eat anything. Then again, I mean, some people would do hardcore drugs. Some people would drink liquor. I bought a can of cake frosting from Walmart. I don't have ingredients to bake a cake. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to eat the whole can of cake frosting in one sitting. Just maybe 2 or 3 spoonfuls. So yeah. It's a recipe book, isn't it? You got it. When you get hurt fighting, if you just limit yourself to healing balms all the time, it's going to cut pretty deep into your wallets. This is where a recipe book comes in play. If you eat food to recover your strength instead, it's basically free. It's like, oh no! I've been shot! How do I treat it? York peppermint patty! God damn it. Assuming you have all the ingredients anyway. So if you eat something new, write down what's in it, and you'll have lots of recipes in no time. So how about we try this out? Go ahead and eat this cookie, Estelle. Cookie! It's a maple cookie. Well, I have made it a personal rule to never turn down sweets. 8 maple cookie. Learned maple. That's not how cooking... That's not how that works! But it'd be cool if it was. Like, oh, you have now eaten a pizza from Pizza Hut. You now know how to spawn pizzas magically. Then again, imagine, like what's your superpower? I have created... Boop! Pizza! Or, it's like, oh no, that person's running right at us. Stepladder! Ah, my shins! Fucking goddamn it! Fucking what the? I'm gonna go! And the person runs at you, just spawn another stepladder in front of their legs. Ah! And the other leg! My knee! Then again, if you really want to be really fucked up about it, you can always be like, how much do you want to abuse, like, superpowers? Because if it's just like the ability to spawn stepladders, it might just be the same stepladder teleporting anywhere and just in front of people. But at the same time, what if it's like millions of tiny stepladders the size of cereal biscuits? You know, like frosted shredded wheat. Or what if it's one giant stepladder the size of a skyscraper? You can just like, or you know, like the Invisible Woman can like turn invisible and use force fields and stuff in, you know, Fantastic Four. Depending on what direction the writer wants to go in, the, you know, force fields don't have to exist in a defensive way. Like there's one thing where she used on Deadpool, granted, it didn't work. And Deadpool, like, as he stabs her in the back, it's like, hey, maybe when you explode somebody's head, if they can regenerate, maybe you shouldn't turn your head back on them. But anyway, yeah, it's just spawning the force field inside somebody's brain and making their head explode, or just using it like a dimensional sword, like a Giganto, you know, Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho. So I'm just saying, way that ties back in, like, what if your power was so you could spawn stepladders, but there's no rule that says the stepladder can't have velocity as it comes into existence. Like, you spawned a stepladder, but it's moving at 100 miles an hour. Or you spawn the stepladder, but it's also 1,000 degrees. You spawn the stepladder, but it's spinning really, really fast. Essentially, you're shooting airborne blenders at people. Or you could do the inverse of that. Just have 100 stepladders around somebody while they float in the air, and then have the spinning stepladders spin faster and faster, and then slowly move in. Or you could just spawn the stepladder inside of somebody, like, well, that used to be where your liver was, but now there's stepladder! And the person's like, ah! Honestly, I don't know what kind of noise people would make at that point, and honestly, I hope I never find out, because that would actually be a morbid thing, and this is just a joke. In real life, if such a thing were to occur, I'd probably just stand there with my mouth gaping open and be like, ah! Did that sound like a Wookiee? I don't know. Shit, there was something I was going to say about that, and I don't remember what it was. Something about stepladders. Fuck, why is my memory so bad? I need a flying navvy to remind me what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, oh, look on the whiteboard right here, Lunar. This is where the conversation was going. And I'm like, I don't remember. Navi's not real. I was just imagining, like, what if the fairies, like in all those, like, games and stories, they could just change their size at will to go from being, like, the size of your hand to the size of a person to the size of a building, or anything in between. I don't know. Something about stepladders. Fuck. Oh, right! Christopher Lee! The guy from Star Wars. He was like a British actor and did stuff. But he was also in the military. I think he was in Lord of the Rings. He was, you know, the White Wizard guy. And the part where he got stabbed, you know, was actually cut out of the movie, and it's in the deleted scenes. You had to watch the deleted scenes. But originally, I think it's... Who was the director of that? Percy Jackson? Fuck! My memory is so terrible. The guy who was the director of Lord of the Rings movies, he was really good. But I don't remember his name. But anyway, at one point he was like telling Christopher Lee, the dude who was actually in the military, actually, you know, had to, you know, do and witness very tragic things that would be very harsh for a person to go through. So, granted, he is a very strong, emotionally, I mean, physically I would say strong too, but emotionally is probably the main thing that's at. Like, especially when you listen to his interviews, you can tell that Christopher Lee is a very, very disciplined individual, a very intelligent individual, and you can tell he's a person with great emotional strength. So, but even then, I'm sure a lot of things probably weigh on him a lot more than I could ever even realize. And honestly, I'm better off not realizing, because that would just be horrible. But the main thing, at one point, the director of Lord of the Rings was saying that, tell him to like do all this yelling stuff when he got stabbed, and he's like, that's not how people respond when they actually get stabbed. And he actually had real life experience to back this up. And he was like, that's not how people respond when they get stabbed. They don't yell in pain. Because a lot of times, especially given where they get stabbed, well, your lungs might not function correctly anymore at this point, so you're not able to yell. Also, you're a bit too shocked by what's occurred and overwhelmed by the pain that a lot of times, here's the thing. Moderate amounts of pain. People will yell. Mainly out of anger and frustration. The problem is, when it's severe pain, one, especially if it's something in regard to like your lungs or something, well, you're not going to have the air to be able to yell. Also, you're going to be in such a state of, shock that you're not going to be able to respond. It's kind of like the difference of somebody watching a scary movie or seeing a scary thing like that's sort of jokey, that's not an actual threat to you. A person will yell, and they're like, "Oh my god!" That sort of thing. It's not like you're dealing with something of malevolence there. It's kind of like you go to like a scary haunted house that's an actual attraction that is. It's not something that's actually going to hurt you. The only way it's going to hurt you is if the person in charge of the haunted house doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and they set up like a little scary trap, and they somehow, don't know how carpeting works. Which, don't get me wrong, anytime I've tried to build a shelf or a table, it did not lean the correct way. So I would not be a good carpenter or auto mechanic in any regard. But the main point is this. You at least know that if you go to a haunted, like at the roller coaster at a theme park, it's not supposed to be dangerous. It's scary as fuck. I've ridden roller coasters and I don't like heights. And honestly, I imagine it was a horrible experience for everyone else. Granted, I didn't vomit or anything, but let's be clear. One, I feel like I would probably hurt a lot more riding a roller coaster, because when I rode a roller coaster in the past, I was much younger. And even then, when I got the roller coaster, I was in physical pain. Lots of my muscles and parts of my body, I'm pretty sure in my bones, like I was in pain. I needed to take Tylenol after that. And I was still a teenager. But it was physically painful to ride the roller coaster. Nothing serious, but enough that it was like, I've strained a few muscles. This is physically painful. To the point that I don't really feel very spry and energetic. But it's not anything really, the next day, after a Tylenol, a few, good pizzas and some extra meat and protein, and a good night's sleep and a bath, nothing you're like, okay, you're not, you can be fully recovered the next day. Now, the only way a roller coaster is really going to be dangerous is if the people running it or maintaining it are doing bad, or even the person who designed it. Because a roller coaster, if something goes wrong, if it flies off the tracks, you're dead. If the thing holding you in there releases, you're dead. So if it fucks up, you're dead. That's the thing. I've seen, footage of some of the things where, and it's horrible. Because, at the end of the day, okay, train car goes off tracks, flies hundreds, if not 1,000 feet into fucking concrete or asphalt. Those are people there. Those are people's, family members that are now not really recognizable as people anymore because they hit concrete at a very high speed. And at that point, it's like, there's nothing you can really do about that. I don't think there's anything, if you're in that situation, I don't think there's anything you can do to save yourself. It's just a realization of how fucked you are, and even then, at that point, it's one of those things you're not even sure you want to survive. It's like skydiving, which I've never done. I have no intention of ever doing because no part of that sounds fun or enjoyable in any way. Like, even if you do it and you like survive and everything goes fine and nothing gets hurt, at no point would I ever look back on that like it's a fucking happy memory. Even if everything went fine. But I feel like if there's a skydiving accident, you don't want to survive the skydiving accident. Because at that point, if you survive it, you have probably incurred so much damage to your body that, one, you may not be able to function in a way that would be a happy life, and two, you're probably in so much pain if you're even able to feel anymore. And that's even provided that you're going to survive after the initial survival. But it's just like, it's just one of those things, you're like, you're seeing people get hurt and you're like, oh fuck. And it's like, you realize that that's always a possibility in some regard anytime you're on any of those things. Now granted, that's why they're supposed to be maintained properly, that's why there's supposed to be safety standards. So, but one, some places don't follow safety standards. In some places, no matter how rigorous they might hold to safety standards, no matter how good the design, there's always that chance. It's kind of like driving your car down the freeway. Even if your car is in the best of condition, even if the weather is fine, there's always that chance. Now, granted, you can't let you paralyze you in fear that you don't go out. And you still have to be able to drive and function, but just, safely. Be mindful of the road. Watch the other cars. Keep an eye on your gauges. Watch how your car is responding to certain things, especially if it's raining or snowing or icy, and take the extra precautions you need to try to be safe. But even then, even if you do everything in your power to try to be as safe as possible, there's always that chance. I mean, that's just how life is. There's always a risk. But you can at least try to minimize the risk and decide what risks are worth taking. But that just depends on what we're talking about there. I mean, one, you might be able to justify more of a risk if there's a better reward. But even then, just general life, there's always going to be some risk. But it's just you have to decide what risks are worth taking. And the risks that are worth taking, you have to try to minimize those so that you maximize your chance of actually, being happy and living a long life and having a life that you're pleased with. But yeah, it's just, I don't remember what the fuck I was talking about. Something about roller coasters. I'm looking at the screen and I see Maple Cookie. And I'm like, I don't know what Maple Cookies have to do with roller coasters. I have no idea how this conversation happened. Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. I'm sorry, guys. I got a little sidetracked, I guess. Back to the game. Basically, all you have to do is eat the food. Does that mean if I eat, like, ghost peppers and scorpion peppers, I can shoot fire out of my hands? If I eat bacon... I'm gonna buy some Applewood smoked bacon later. The stuff at the Walmart. Cook it in a skillet. Sounds good. Granted, I'll probably cook some of it normal, but I know sometimes I'll use collard green seasoning and some other stuff with the bacon on sometimes. So it's good to do that sometimes, but I don't do it all the time because, sometimes it's just good to have the bacon cook. Okay, let's stop getting sidetracked! Basically, all you have to do is eat the food, learn the recipe. It's as simple as that. As you're traveling about, you should eat whatever food you come across that you haven't had an opportunity to try before. Well, that sounds pretty convenient. It's not like I don't like cooking and all, it's just that I've never seemed to get any better. And practice makes perfect. I'd sure love to be able to increase my repertoire and really shock my dad's taste. I really think he's gonna die soon. Like, we are an RPG, there's gotta be some sort of story element to happen. And there has to be some reason why the experienced heroic bracer, who's probably 100 levels higher than us, is not able to do it themselves. Shock my dad's taste buds for once in my life. That's the spirit. And in passing, if you're in need of any ingredients, I'd be delighted to service your cooking needs. Bacon! I'm surprised Pizza Hut's never done a habanero stuffed crust pizza. What about an anchovy stuffed pizza? I don't know. What would you guys put inside the stuffed crust of a Pizza Hut pizza? You really know how to solicit your customers, Mr. Lunar. Thank you for the recipe book. Well, we'll put it to good use. Eating the recommended dish at restaurants. Ooh, there are restaurants in the game. Yes! Or using the to-go meals. There's fast food places. Add the recipe to the recipe book. By selecting the recipe book, all learned recipes will be displayed. As long as the necessary ingredients are available, the food can be made. There are two types of food. Sit-down meals, which must be eaten on the spot, and to-go meals, which can be carried as items. Sit-down meals cannot be carried as items. Ingredients used for cooking can be bought at a store or acquired from monsters. Okay. We're going to call that a video. I should probably go buy some bacon. I need to go to the store anyway. Hope everyone had a wonderful day. Sorry I got a little off topic, I guess. Something about bacon? What's the best kind of bacon? What do you like to use bacon with? I like omelets. Some people mix pancake batter with their omelets to make them fluffier. It's okay, but I don't have much luck with it. A lot of times my omelets are just me being a fat ass. It's just, look at my 7 eggs with half a fucking onion that's been diced into it. And some cheese and bacon. It's a wonder my cholesterol is normal. Is there a dust cloud that comes out of our... Yay! Dust cloud from when we run. Okay. I should save. Save! Okay. Well, I hope everyone out there had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Yeah, bye.